Hello everyone, welcome back to Moonlight Productions. My name is Adam. I hope you're all doing well, as we all should be. Today, I want to look at the locations across the United States for the best states that will give you the most influential education after high school. According to the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, people who earn a high school degree on average earn $781 a week. Compare that to the weekly earnings of those who graduated college with a bachelor's degree. They typically make $1,305 a week. It's quite a respectable jump. That kind of economic opportunity is part of the reason why so many parents are intent on having their kids attend college at some point right after high school. Sometimes it means that the kids have to leave their home state to attend that particular university to get that fancy degree. These are the states you want to consider planning on moving to get a higher education. It will be mainly on quality of the education, but the yearly cost of tuition also needs to be considered. The average tuition price has increased by over 150% over the past 40 years in the United States. Sometimes, the price alone can be a complete deal breaker. Places like Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Maryland, those places are way too expensive to get an education. Although, in just pure school attentiveness, these are some of the best states for education, if you have some money. So, with those ground rules out of the way, please sit back as I bring you the best states for higher education. Number 10, Nebraska. Nebraska is a weird state regarding the stereotype of typical Nebraskans from other states. Nebraska is known for super flat lands and cornhuskers everywhere, but those who live in Nebraska are relatively educated for a flyover state. However, the stereotype of Nebraska is somewhat elevated over the years, trying to be more modern. The 2-year college graduation rate in Nebraska has a score of 34.1%, as well as 4-year college students having a graduation rate of 57.5%. However, when it comes to educational attainment, the score is only 44.3%. The average in-state tuition and fees in the Cornhusker state is $8,467 a year, which is the lower in the national average when it comes to in-state tuition. So there is a reason why the area is attracting people of all kinds of individuals for the family kind, working class individuals, and tech workers are flocking to the state, especially in the Lincoln area of the state. Number 9, Nevada. You would think that Nevada would only focus on making sure gambling would be the principal focus. Gambling is what pays the bills in the state. Shockingly, the Silver State does have more substantial than standard numbers for college graduation rates in the nation. The 2-year college graduation rate in Nevada is 31.6%, with the 4-year college graduation rate being 51.4%, along with the educational attainment scoring 34.5%. The average in-state tuition and fees in Nevada is $5,845 a year. So make sure when you're done with all of your education in the state, try to get out of there. If not, you start spending the money you just saved on your education, and instead you end up gambling, drinking, or partying it all away. However, good moral people can do quite well in Nevada. The no income tax in the state and the higher than national average wages in Nevada can be very incentivizing for many people. Number 8, South Dakota. The Mount Rushmore state is a place for those who don't mind the dull type of people and environments, which something might be about part of the reason why people are so focused on education in South Dakota. It helps keep them entertained. The 2-year in-state tuition in South Dakota is 65.3%, along with the 4-year tuition rate going to 52.6%. The educational attainment score in South Dakota is 41.6%. The tuition in South Dakota is $8,772 a year, which is about middle of the pack, so you could do much worse than South Dakota. It's another state that doesn't kick you in the income tax department, but it's also a state that isn't much of a state to live in after college for graduates very much. It's a very blue-collar state, and most blue-collar jobs don't need some sort of fancy degree in the state. Number 7, North Carolina. North Carolina's been one of those states on my mind most to move to. Family, the nature, the cost of living, and now it seems education is something that I can put into the reasons to move there. The Tar Heel State has only 29.3% when it comes to 2-year graduation rate, sadly, although it seems North Carolina has decided to kick itself in the butt to make up for those 2 years. The state on the 4-year side is 67.8%. The educational attainment in the state is 42.4%, so that's pretty moderate, and the average in-state tuition in North Carolina is $7,174 a year, which is pretty respectful. It has become one of the most attractive places in the country, especially in the Raleigh suburbs and places like Asheville, so I need to kick my own self in the butt and get moving to North Carolina. Number 6, Utah. Many people are familiar with the Utah legacy when it comes to the Mormon church and religion, so there are sure a ton of family-driven people in the Beehive State who want to see everyone succeed. The 2-year graduation rate in Utah is 27.5%. Like North Carolina, they do better in the 4-year graduation rate, which is 48.5%. The educational attainment in Utah is 44.4%, and the average in-state tuition yearly is $6,734, which is one of the lowest ends in the nation. Utah is frequently brought up as one of the best states in the country, so it might not be a bad option for moving there for either higher education or after higher education. Number 5. Colorado. Considering Colorado is one of the most popular states in the nation that people are running to, it's no shock that they're doing something right when it comes to education in the Centennial State. The 2-year education score in Colorado is 39.2%, along with the 4-year education students getting 58.9%. After the solid graduation scores, educational attainment in Colorado is pretty respectful at 51.1%. However, the state does have the current highest tuition on this list. The average yearly in-state tuition is $9,394 a year. Although, depending on the state, those numbers could get easily into the $13,000 to $16,000 a year. It could be much worse than Colorado. Nevertheless, it does show great promise with the education and proves that the hype around Colorado is real. It's just gotten way too expensive in the state, although a college education is still viable. Number 4. Wyoming. Similar to Colorado, Wyoming does have some Colorado care, except without the devil's lettuce that the kids are obsessed with in their friends. Wyoming's 2-year state graduation rate is 38.8%, with the 4-year graduation rate being 59.8%. Not wrong numbers to have at all. After all the graduation rates, the educational attainment in Wyoming is 40.4%, which is lower than it should be in my opinion. After that, the in-state tuition in Wyoming is $4,596 a year, which is relatively cheaper than most states. Another state you should consider moving to if you're iffy about Colorado. Number 3. California. California does catch a break when it comes to education when you get into higher education. K-12 education in the Golden State is just awful to the core. No good weather all year long can go good brains in California. Thankfully, California does score well when it comes to universities throughout the state. The 2-year education score in California is 34.5%, which is lower, but alright, better than other states on this list so far, although the 4-year score is much better at 71.1%. Educational attainment is more modest in California, which is 42.9%. Finally, the cost of in-state tuition in California is shocking lower than I expected, which is only $8,118 a year. Thankfully, California is just stupidly expensive that anything lower than $10,000 a year would be seat-busting. I would still choose something else without a second thought, but it's refreshing California's on a list that doesn't involve being the most expensive. Number 2. Washington State. Similar to places like Oregon and Colorado, Washington has been getting a lot of attention from many different and younger workforces throughout the nation, and it shows. The Evergreen State is one of the fastest growing states in the nation. One of those reasons is education. The 2-year college education rate in Washington is 36.9%, along with a 4-year degree graduation rate of being 69%. The educational attainment in Washington is 46.9%, and the in-state tuition is $7,036 a year, which is quite low for a location that's pretty expensive to live in all around. Washington State doesn't have an income tax, so it definitely will get people's attention all over. And number 1, Florida. The Sunshine State is once again in the Department of Positivity in the country. It's a state that's popular with many Americans, all around, whether it's young or old. I just know some neighbors that go down to Florida from Illinois, and it's more than just attractive for the retirement crowd. It definitely is also popular with the younger kids when it comes to education. The 2-year graduation rate in Florida is 59%. After that, the 4-year education in the state is 69.8%, which is the 6th best in the nation. Educational attainment is slightly lower than the national average at 40.6%, but not awful. Finally, the cost of yearly tuition in Florida is $4,443, which is one of the lowest in the nation. Ultimately, similar to Washington, South Dakota, and Wyoming, Florida has no income tax, so companies will find that encouraging for a younger workforce. No doubt Florida will continue to grow in massive numbers. Thank you for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and that like button. Follow me on Twitter and please share. Thank you so much for your time and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.